All right, hello party people, here we go for another breakdown. You want anamorphic? You want to see distortion? Let's go. We're looking at this commercial. Digital zoom in. Old man on street. Not so old. It's harsh sunlight. Kind of nice. People walking. This one's going to be good because we got a lot of different options of lighting in the same spaces. We'll be able to see what we like and what we don't like. Got a little front light there. Kid looking at numbers. Well done production designer / location person for finding this one. And front lit, backlit, backlit. And more computers, numbers, screens. That's good. Send out the second unit. Lighting inside, harder. And award show. What else do we got here? This is the story of this guy here. Hello, Distortion. He goes inside, he's trading. And down with the economy, bone white. And we're eating cake and living the dream. And now I'm disillusioned. Wait a second, it's nighttime. Oh, they're making fun of the lady. And sadness. I can help though. What's that? A peer-to-peer cash system that is decentralized? I've got the code. Yes, I will write it now. I am Satoshi Nakamoto. Or whatever this app is. Ta-da! You get where this is going, right? You've seen the ad now. Okay, so what are we going to talk about here? Really, did anybody see it? I think I fast-forwarded over the best shot of the ad. There's one shot in here, well, two really that I like, and the others, we'll talk about a few of them. But this is a great one. If you see this look here, like a lot of the times you'll see this nighttime look, but it's kind of lit up. Is it supposed to be day? I've never seen night that bright before. It's like, well, the only time of day that the location would let you take over is at night. So you just bring in your giant 12 by and you push some level through there. You try and make it a little bit more lit up. You always change the name to something funny when you're doing this, especially if you're the director. Pick something good, right? Pick something funny. Michael. But this is like the look, right? You're never going to get into one of these places during the day, the actual location, so you end up having to change your lighting and the look based on when you can get into the location and change things. Where's the good looking shot, the stuff that I like? Hello, front light. See, shadow going this way, front light. Shadow going this way, front light, harsh. Look at this guy, can't even see the camera. He's like, are we rolling? Should I not be looking at the camera? And then look at this one. Okay, so this is great. An example of normally, if we are inside of a location, especially this one, where you're elevated, right? So you're not gonna be able to bring in lights from the ground. Let's just imagine for a second that this is a real location. I think it is. First of all, look at the distortion on the buildings, right? Some engineer has not properly done it, or we're shooting on Kawas, specifically wide-angled Kawas, right? This is probably shot by Panavision or something like that. Anyway, it's Kawas. I don't know if that's true, but this is the look. Extreme distortion. You get it on the Lomos too. Older anamorphics will do it, but pretty much the worse they are, or the cheaper they are, the more it's going to happen on the edges. Unless you're going for that crazy Panavision look, then all you have to do is gram it. And it's cool. So this is distortion, but this is a lighting situation where you probably wouldn't get yourself into this situation on purpose lots of the time. It's pretty location specific. If you're a cinematographer, location and schedule dependent will get you into this trap because we got a lot of stuff to deal with. Look at how much level is outside, as in not the person that we want to look at. So now we got to find a way to get people to look at where we want them to look. Luckily for us, this is not, is it a montage ad? Yes, right? We're not doing specific scenes where we're going back and forth with this gentleman here as he goes through his life, deciding what he's going to do. But, we've seen him. So everybody knows he's the person that we're looking at. It doesn't have to be lit up beautifully every single time, right? We can mix it up a little bit, but this is what happens when you don't have backlight. Look at all the level that you have to compete against. This is hard to do because what do you have to do now is you have to bring in level inside of this office to counteract whatever this is reading, right? Say this is at 32s out there, right? You're shooting in Australia. This is 32s out here on these walls, even though they're not getting direct sunlight, they're just getting ambient. They're lit up a lot more than what is inside the room. So you're gonna have to up the level inside of the room, which is tricky to do because balancing with lights is hard. Just showing up and being in the perfect spot, that's what looks natural, right? That's the little insider secret is the less you do to a great location and a great schedule, the better it's going to look. This is actually hard. You have to be good at cinematography to balance out the levels to make it look natural. Like look, like even though there's a light right out here, you have to get the balance right. And the balance is what takes, it doesn't take time, it takes the experience of going, okay, that's a little bit too much because 1 or 2%, right? It's like the uncanny valley. 1 or 2% and the whole thing is, the whole gig is up. Everybody knows this is dog shit and it's not, doesn't look balanced. So we've got darkness here. We've got a little edge here, but you can't really go outside the window and be, you know, if this is the ground floor, you could go over the top like this, over the top with a little goalpost rig. You could stick your lights there and shine them this way to get more level inside of the room. But when you're up, when you're not on the ground floor, you have to come from inside the room, which is tricky, okay? So ideally, you wouldn't want to get yourself in this situation. You would want the sun over here, out of the frame, backlighting these buildings, which we're gonna see in a second. So this is just an example of what it looks like when maybe the schedules don't align perfectly, unless you want this look, right? You got sun blasting into these buildings, very, very hot, which means even if you want to get this level of darkness, right? I mean, it's quite down in the foreground. It looks great, like it's a good looking balanced frame compared to what is out there. It feels natural, but if you wanted if you wanted to see his face anymore, the amount of level that you would have to bring in here is a lot, right? So you want to try and avoid that. So where was the one that I was thinking of? Okay, this is my favorite, right? Now, why is this my favorite scene? Any guesses? We got, you know, the first AD's daughter. She's walking across this way. Perfect screen wipe. We don't care about seeing her. Just adds to the depth. We got a little bit of haze back there, and we've got gigantic sun backlight, which creates edge, contrast, light to dark, light to dark, light to dark, all the way across the frame. Plus these things going across here, there's just so many interesting elements. Plus the columns, like this is the shot. Little haze is good. This is a beautiful looking thing versus something that is, well, I mean, even this, right? Like this is that's nice. It's just a little bit of detail back there. We got old man here, he's checking his Tinder, and boom. Look at that, like that's the perfect direction for the sun, but this is harsh sun, right? This is not, we don't have a 12 by diffusion up here. We're not separating it from, we're not really softening it off from anything that is happening in the background, any of that harshness. If you wanted to, what would end up happening if you use like, and you could for this shot, because you can't really see the ground that is very close to him. So you could go with like a walking or a rolling, right? Sometimes you'll put it on roller stands depending on how big the frame is. But if you put, say, roll to 12 by along with this guy, you could do a highlight or a half soft frost and then wrap it around a little bit more. And what that ends up doing is, say you knock down what's highlight, like let's just say half a stop for our purposes. If you knock this down half a stop, that means this back here, all this stuff opens up half a stop, right? Because you have to compensate the exposure inside of the camera. You can do it lots of different ways. You can pull ND, you can add ND, you can, you know, if you're doing slow motion or anything like that, you can take the shutter angle and play with that. There's lots of different ways to compensate for it, but you will have to compensate for it because this will not be as harsh. So if you want this same look, you're going to have to find some solution for dealing with that exposure change, and what will end up happening is the shadows will open up. So this will start to open up all this stuff down here. If you like the crunch, well then you leave it like it is now, right? Because this is crunchy. You go from hot, hot sun to crunch on the shadow side. But again, nice looking frame, again, because of the contrast. Okay, from there, let's go to, oh my gosh, look at this one. So this is the warpiness. We see it a few different times in this commercial, especially in the profile views. But you can see just what is going on. Watch as the camera moves the edges of the frame. I mean, this is a little weird to be pointing down the line like this too, right? Like if we go full screen, do we dare? Didn't work. Didn't work. Didn't work. Full screen, I thought it was going to be... Oh yes, it worked. Okay. It didn't work. It did work. Yes, just slow. Okay, so this is the lady who's using her phone, right? And look at where the light is. It's sort of behind, but it is. This is really, really, really hot. And I imagine this is really hot because we didn't have enough level to fill out all of this stuff. So we had to balance to that. And we can't dim this thing. So I imagine that's why this is really hot. Because we don't want to go through the whole exercise of lighting this entire place. So we're just going to live with the difference between this hand and this stuff over here, right? I imagine that's the case. But just look where the light is positioned and look at how hot it is. Because we're about to go into the credit card shot here. Where are you, credit card shot? Ta-da, right? Now, the light is coming from the same direction. And we're on the right side. But now look at all the shadow that has been introduced here. Look at how this is way tempered, way down. right? This is nice and soft. We got a big, huge source over here with lots of diffusion, making this little shadow here. And then look at the shadow of the hand. Really, really, really soft, that transition between light and shadow. So the way that you would do this, I mean, you could almost do it with this. You wouldn't do it with this little practical here, right? You'd switch it out. But look at how hot those fingers are here versus when you come around to the credit card shot. Because this is the money bit of the ad, right? They're selling Bitcoin or whatever it is they're selling. And they want you to make the screen look nice and the UI look nice. So you have to make it look nice by softening things up and bringing all those values just closer together. So again, things to fill up the frame, like taking those angles, taking this thing, the little hand. Don't show the whole phone because that's boring. You get this little shadow things going on here, shooting along the object, whether it's a credit card or whether it's a phone like this. And where's the other one I wanted to do? This is the same sort of idea, right? Like this guy is holding the phone, and then we switch to lady hands and a different jacket, right? So this is a completely different person. But same idea. We're shooting into the light is up here. Backlight is up here. Have person walk by in fancy boots this way. Have light coming this way. We're shooting over the top of the dark shoulder, and we're shooting into here. If you wanted to use this light, right, all you would have to do is soften it right here with the 4x frame. And then that way the light coming over the hand is nice and soft, even though there's not a whole lot of shape to this one, but it's still, the principles are there. Shoot into the light this way. Have the light coming onto the object and then soften to taste. Okay, let's go back to the bit that I wanted to look at, which is, this one's good here. I like this front. This front one is good because this little zoom, you'd be like, man, you and the director, you're on the scout, everybody's standing around. You're like, okay, what I want to do is off of the top, we're just going to crane down, right? Let's just boom down with the camera. And then you say to the director, yeah, good idea, good idea. We're just going to boom straight down. And then you look over to the producer, you know, and she's just looking at you like, you're going to do what down? It's like, oh no, the camera we'll just usually, you know, we'll just get a crane up here. You're not getting a crane up here. Like, okay, no crane. How about we do a digital zoom? Digital zoom it is. Okay, let's do it. So here, look at the difference here in the lighting, right? This is the street lighting I want to talk about. So backlit, right? Shadows on the ground, you can see. We're shooting into the shadow, which is the shadow side here. This is our man that we're going to be looking at. And you get this little edge down here. You get the little edge on the lady back there. These two, right? Don't stand so close to each other. And let's go to the next one. Now, he's completely reversed scenes. Now he's getting light from behind, which gives us this little edge. Got that little bald spot there. Backlight is good, especially for these city slow motion walking shots. But then we get to, same thing here, right? Same idea, shooting into dark. So these people immediately stand out. The depth of field helps, but really it's shooting into darkness and having the light come over the top. That's what gets you this look. Now do that versus this is what full sun looks like. This is normally what the Tech Scout still looks like. When you take it and you be like this, yes, we want to be here at exactly this time. But when we come back, we're going to have a full grip and lighting truck so we can make this look like $1 million. So this is what real life looks like, right? You and your friend down here, you come down for a little afternoon ice cream or whatever it is you kids do these days. And this is what your face looks like versus something softer, which is here, right? So this is like Hollywood. You've got time to set things up. You're there at the right time of day. So we're shooting into backlight, right? You can see all these edges coming down. All these edges coming down the people. We're there. But it feels so much more balanced and polished, even though we've got that little nose leak on the actual sun backlight. Because what we're doing is so the sun, let's imagine, is over here, right, shining this way. Then we're bouncing level from the sun to the other side of the face, right? Across the face to balance this backlight. We're balancing with the bounce. That is the aim of the bounce, to reduce the contrast between here and here. Sometimes you can do it this way again, that's more sandwichy, but that's the wrap technique. Normally what happens if you're gonna do the wrap technique, so bounce from the same side as the sun over here, what's gonna happen is you're gonna get way too much fill to look very interesting in the foreground and to have it stand out from the background. Like see how much fill is on these people, right? It starts to get really, really flat. And we don't want flat, we want not flat. So the way that you would do that is also have an enormous amount of neg on this side. Neg, sucking up all of the light instantaneously, it's going to make things look better. And this is also the easiest trick, because on the text scout, you just say, hey, we're going to neg the whole side of this street. Number one, it looks like you're proactive because you know what you're doing. Like, hey, let's do this neg. It's going to be enormous. Yeah, it looks like overkill, but it looks better. And then everyone goes, yeah, it does look better. And then you look like a star. So this is Hollywood. This is show up and it's text scout style, right? Not a lot of balance. Even though we're shooting the right direction, it's much more raw versus this, significantly more polished. And then this one is also, there's some weird backlight going on here. You can tell from this, right? This is not natural. But this is much more realistic as well, right? If you didn't have harsh light, like look at how the lighting has changed on that guy from him walking across the road. If you didn't have really harsh backlight, like this one, right? This is really harsh, direct sun. This is less, this is like overcast, or sun is behind the building, so you're getting bounce into the sky, and then the ambient sky is what's giving you the shadow. But you can still see on the background, you can still see that it's the correct angle, right? The correct angle of backlight. It's just more balanced because it's not as harsh. So the level of the sun / sky is actually less, which allows you to balance the shadows versus what's going on in the highlights. Okay, so those are the differences that you have to look for, and you decide which look you like, right? I would probably lean towards the Hollywood look here out of those three options. This one's the most naturalistic, I would say. This one's the most stylized style, and just sort of there, right? You're just sort of doing your job at this point. It's like, yeah, we got it in the can. So, looks nice. The other one was, oh, this is front light done well, right? So even if you're going to do front light, right, like say, oh, we can't be at this location when the sun is down here. We have to be here at this particular time. Well, at least get some interest in there, right? This looks like, this little blocked out area looks just like a 12 by 12 or a 20 by 20 just erected so that you can get some sort of shadow there. So just think of ways, little tree here, little tiny elements of contrast changes. Just because it's front lit doesn't mean, you know, you pick the worst time of the day and you just have it while it's up here and beating down. The longer the shadows go, even if it's front lit, the better it's going to be. And we'll do one more here. Where's the one I wanted to look at? Oh, this isn't nice, right? Production designer for the win. Don't turn the practicals on, right? We're gonna buck the trend. Don't do it. But we got wallpaper, we got not white lights, and we have big streaming light from the window that you cannot see in the image, right? Shooting into the L of the room, have a little bit of foreground, shoot along all of these things, and then have the light coming from the window that you can't see. This is easy money, right? This is bread and butter stuff for us. And again, backlight scenarios. Can I get the sandwich, please? Let's go light from this way, and then bounce light back in this way. And we've got very, very little contrast in something that would be incredibly contrasting in real life, right? This kid is under the tree. Unless he has like the new MacBook Pro that has 5,000 lumens on that screen, right? Like it's the ultra high bright screen. You're probably not getting that level underneath the tree like that. This is an interesting frame too. The way that she's looking. Now she's sort of looking almost at the camera, but a little bit left. This is downstage lighting because she's looking that way across and we're lighting the key side this way. If you wanted it upstage, you just have her look this side of the camera, right? So then you would be looking into the darkness. Okay. Oh, I didn't get to our thing. Where is it? Should I go? Where's our distortion? This is the distortion. This is what, when you're talking about anamorphic distortion, things to be aware of. So this is like a 35 or a 40 millimeter and quite close to this guy. And warpy. You can feel the warpiness in here. And this one too. Look at this. This one, look at this. Just how out of focus this is and how it all sort of bows around. It's a weird looking frame. Okay, that's going to do it for this one. Hopefully you learned something. You learned at least when you're looking at those outdoor city shots, what you like and what you don't like. How manicured you make something is the level of Hollywoodness, right? The more elements you add from the framework, the more it's going to start to feel very, very polished. And if you want that very polished look, that's great. If you don't want it, you know what things you don't have to look out for, what things you can eliminate from your setup time, from your budget, the managing expectations of what the director wants, what the production wants. You can do those things based on knowing, okay, well, if I don't have the budget for the techno, then we're gonna have to do the digital zoom. If I don't have the budget for the 20 by 12 neg, or the bounce, or being here at the right time of day, now I can start to filter through what the possible scenarios are for the results. And then I can pass that on. And if people understand that I know what I'm talking about and I understand how to manage expectations, normally you've got a good chance of getting hired again and again and again and again. And that is it. Okay, that's going to do it for this one. We'll see you in the next one.